$20, that's what Inphic is charging for the A9 Explorer. And no, this is not a gaming mouse, and Inphic is very clear about that. But here's what made me curious enough to make this entire video. Can you actually game with this mouse? The answer is yes, you absolutely can game with this mouse, and I have been comparing it side by side with my Logitech G703, which is a proper gaming mouse and I have been using every single day for the past 2 years. And the results were genuinely surprising for a $20 office mouse. So if you are looking for a silent wireless mouse that does more than just sitting on your desk, or you just want to know if a $20 mouse is actually worth your money, this video is for you. So let's get into it. The packaging is minimal and clean, and inside the box you get the mouse itself, a small USB wireless dongle for the 2.4 GHz connection, and a Type-C charging cable, and of course a user manual. Holding it for the first time, it's noticeably light at around 107 grams, and the matte finish feels smooth and clean in hand. The pulsating RGB light bar runs along the side behind a glossy strip of glass that also covers the battery indicator, and it immediately gives the mouse a premium look that you would not expect at this price. Build quality is always the first thing that you worry about with a budget mouse, and honestly the A9 Explorer holds up better than most of the mouses that I've ever seen. When talking about the build quality, the entire shell is finished in a smooth matte plastic. The top, the sides, and the button surfaces, all of it. And it feels really clean and consistent, and on each side of the mouse there are subtle indentations that naturally guide your thumb and ring finger into its place. But that glass strip on the side is one of my favorite design details. It covers both the RGB light, which is here, and the battery LED indicator, which shows 3 lines of batteries. Now 2 of them is charged, and the way light diffuses through it makes the whole mouse look far more expensive than what it is. On the underside you will find 5 glide pads or scales, but they're a bit thin and low quality. But for a $20 mouse they do the job, and the mouse glides smoothly on most surfaces. But I always prefer to use a decent mouse pad, and it's not really that comparable with a gaming mouse, but it gets the job done. Dimensionally, this mouse is 120mm long, 78mm wide, and 39mm tall. That puts it firmly in the mid-size category, not too big, not too small, and it fits most adult hands comfortable in a palm or claw grip. And the mouse is slim enough to slip into any bag without taking up much space, and it's not bulky at all. Now about the buttons. The left click and the right click buttons are completely silent, genuinely whisper quiet. You can click this thing in dead silent room and nobody will hear it. The scroll wheel is also very quiet while scrolling, but the scroll click is not that silent, just something to be aware of. The A9 Explorer gives you 2 wireless modes, 2.4 GHz via the included USB dongle, which is here, and the Bluetooth 5, which you can switch between them using a button at the bottom of the mouse. The Bluetooth mode is very useful if you're on a MacBook or an Ultrabook or any laptop with a limited number of USB ports. So instead of using one of your precious ports for the wireless dongle, you just connect it via Bluetooth and keep your ports free for everything else you want. And in case of performance, it doesn't have any significant difference with the wireless dongle as well. Now let's talk about the polling rate. This is important to understand that the more polling rate your mouse has, the more frequently it reports its position to your computer. So it feels more smooth and more responsive, especially in competitive games. This office mouse has a polling rate of 125 Hz on 2.4 GHz mode, and on Bluetooth it drops around 10 Hz and it goes down to 115 Hz, which is not that significant between the 2 modes. But to have a truly good gaming experience, you generally want 1000 Hz polling rate. This means that a gaming mouse like the G703 that I'm using reports your cursor position to your PC 1000 times per second versus 125 per second on the A9 Explorer. In fast-paced competitive games like Valorant or CS2, you will feel the difference during flicks, but for everyday use, productivity, and even casual gaming or offline games, 125 Hz is perfectly adequate. The A9 Explorer has a 3-level battery indicator LED visible through that glass strip, and it charges via a Type-C port. So the same cable you use for your phone or maybe your laptop or your earbuds works perfectly fine here, and you can even use power banks or any charger that you use. Alright, it's sensor time. The A9 Explorer covers DPI from 800 to 2400 across 5 steps, and you can cycle through them with the DPI button at the top of the mouse. It has a tracking speed of 30 IPS and 10 G of acceleration. Let me quickly explain what those actually mean. IPS is inches per second, is how fast you can physically move the mouse before the sensor starts losing the track of your movement. 30 IPS means if you move the mouse faster than 30 inches in a single second, the sensor might start losing accuracy. Think of it like a speed limit for the sensor. For reference, a serious gaming mouse should be at least 200 to 400 IPS. And for office and casual gaming at a normal movement speed, 30 IPS is just fine. Acceleration 10G is how quickly the sensor handles sudden changes in movement, like stopping and starting fast. Imagine flicking the mouse hard, then stopping instantly. That's what acceleration measures. A gaming mouse should have at least 25 to 40G for competitive play, but again, 10G is enough for everyday use and casual gaming. Now for my actual test results, I ran the A9 Explorer through the mouse tester application, which is a free tool. I put the link in the description, and with that you can measure how consistent the sensor tracking really is in practice and in real life. The results for this mouse were really clean. There was no drifting, no double clicks, no erratic behavior whatsoever. The polling rate was consistent with very low jitter, averaging around 115 Hz and peaking about 135 Hz, which is a bit more than what it was advertised at maximum level. And for an office mouse, at this price, this is solid, reliable result, and it means this mouse is actually high quality. The bottom line is the sensor does exactly what the mouse is designed for. It's not built to compete with dedicated gaming sensors, but for the work life it's designed around, it performs honestly and without issues. I've even tried it in Valorant, and if you are playing on lower ranks, you face no problems. Now let's talk about the battery life. This is where the A9 Explorer genuinely impresses me. Inphic claims the battery life up to 100 hours on a single charge with RGB turned up, which is a lot. We are talking potentially weeks of normal daily usage without charging at all. It also has a built-in overcharge protection, so leaving it plugged in overnight won't damage the battery over time. You can charge this mouse via the Type-C port, which means basically any modern cable you already own will work. There's a light bar along the side that pulses and cycles through colors, which is visible through the glass strip on the shell. And in a dim room, it looks really premium, way above what you would expect at this price. You can toggle it on and off with the button, which is at the bottom of the mouse, and you can turn off the RGB or you can turn it on. Now, the only limitation that I have seen with this mouse is that the standard version of the A9 Explorer has no driver software, no applications. It means no button remapping, no custom lighting on the RGB bar, no DPI fine-tuning, nothing. So for a silent office mouse, I think it's okay, but I think it would have been really nice if they have included the control of the RGB bar, since it's very unique. Now, Inphic does have a gaming focused version 2 of this mouse, which is called V2. And the V2 has the full driver software. The DPI goes up to 12,000, and it comes with a 1000 Hz polling rate, which is almost the same as a normal gaming mouse. It has triple connection modes, wired, Bluetooth, and wireless dongle. The sensor is just much better. It has 120 IPS and 25G acceleration, and the clicks are rated for around 8 million presses instead of 3 million on this mouse, which is going to be a completely different experience from the silenced version, which is this one. And it's designed completely for a different use case. The price of the version 2 of this mouse is expected to be around $25, which is still unconfirmed and you cannot find it on the market. But if that's true, this is truly amazing, because with that price tag and those specs, Inphic is going to experience a lot of good sales with the version 2 of this mouse. The Inphic A9 Explorer retails for around $20. And for that price tag, you are getting dual wireless, which is 2.4 GHz, and Bluetooth all at the same time. Silent buttons for left clicks and right clicks, and a scroll, of course, silent scroll. Beautiful RGB light behind the glass strip, Type-C charging, overcharge protection, and a really good battery life. And here's the thing, for casual gaming and even low rank competitive play, this mouse is absolutely fine to use and it has no problems. You're not going to be held back by these features. And it's only when you get into serious high-rank competitive play where the 125 Hz polling rate and the lower spec sensor will start to show their limits and effects. Personally speaking, at around $15 to $20, this A9 Explorer mouse is honestly one of the best value wireless mouse you can buy. Here are some of my opinions after spending almost a week with the A9 Explorer. The first one is that A9 Explorer is neither trying to be a high-end gaming mouse and neither trying to be an office mouse. The look is very gaming-y, but the actual mouse and the specs are actually office mouse. The buttons are silent. It's very good if you are living with people that are constantly being annoyed by your clicks. I think this is one of the best mouses you can get that you can also game with, because most of the gaming mouses that you see on the market don't have silent buttons, because silent buttons are usually slow at clicking. And all of this combined with the clean matte design and the glowing glass strip with the RGB bar, it looks and feels much more than $20. If you have any questions about this mouse, or you want to see me test the V2 version, which is the gaming version of this mouse when it comes to the market, leave them in the comments below. I read and answer every single one as soon as I can. If you have questions about any other mouse or any specific model that you're looking for, do not hesitate to leave a comment. Of course, I will read them and get back to you. I will see you in the next video.